Donald Trump has already violated the expanded gag order in the New York criminal case in front of Judge Juan Merchan, the Alvin Bragg case, where the first time Trump tried to steal the election from the American people by withholding information or paying someone off so that she wouldn't come forward and talk about the fact that they had an affair. Some people call it the Stormy Daniels hush money case. So Judge Juan Merchan had imposed a gag order after he first warned Donald Trump when he was arrested and arraigned to be careful and don't threaten people, don't cause threats to be made. He did an oral warning. And after he escalated his comments and made more and more disparaging comments about everybody, then he issued a limited gag order, very similar to the one that Judge Tanya Chutkan in Washington, D.C. in that case, in the election, the bigger election stealing case, the Jan 6 case, or as Judge Merchan called it, the insurrection case, the federal insurrection case, which is what it is. He then issued a gag order very similar to that one because that one was upheld by the D.C. Circuit. So what happened, though, was there was this thing in the gag order that was unclear because Donald Trump started going after Judge Merchan's daughter. He has an adult daughter who works for a Democratic consulting firm. And he posted that she posted a picture of Trump behind bars in jail. That turned out to be not true. That was debunked. It was somebody else, not her. But that doesn't matter. Donald Trump still is going after Judge Merchan's adult daughter and holding him responsible for her, which is so strange that you would ever hold someone responsible for the views of your family members. But either way, she has nothing to do with this case. She has not expressed anything about this case, and she just goes to work and works for a consulting company. But Donald Trump has decided to go after her. So Alvin Bragg, who's the Manhattan DA, then filed a motion basically saying that, Judge Merchan, can you please clarify, does the gag order cover family members or not? And so Judge Merchan issued an order where he said essentially that the people's motion for restriction on extrajudicial statements by the defendant is granted to the extent that the defendant is directed to refrain from the following. And he clarified it includes public statements to witnesses who might participate in the case, right? Because the trial's about to happen. And so you need to not scare off witnesses. You need to not have information go to prospective jurors. You don't want to taint the jury pool. The jury really shouldn't hear or read or see anything other than the evidence, the admissible evidence that comes in at the trial. So we're getting close to the trial, so he's protecting the witnesses. That was Section A. Section B, making or directing others to make public statements about counsel in the case other than the district attorney, because the DA, Alvin Bragg, is a public figure, although I personally don't think that then opens you up to fair game to be threatened or to basically say false things about you so that people will potentially threaten you or have acts of violence against you, which we've heard has happened to Alvin Bragg. But, he said other than the district attorney. And members of the court staff and the district attorney's staff. So the prosecutors on the case, they're just normal public servants doing their job, right? Same as the court staff, because he saw what happened to Judge Engoron's law secretary, where Donald Trump went after her over and over and over again. So he included staff, included the DA's office staff. And then he added family members of any counsel or staff member, if those statements are made with the intent to materially interfere with or to cause others to materially interfere with counsel's or staff's work in this criminal case, or with the knowledge that such interference is likely to result, and making or directing others to make public statements about any prospective juror. That's Section C, because he's going to protect the jury at all costs, right? That's the integrity of the justice system. But what happens hours after he issued this gag order, making it clear that this absolutely does apply to family members? And Donald Trump, you must stop, because it was specifically about Judge Merchan's daughter. This was brought to his attention. He then clarifies, yes, it does cover it. What does Donald Trump do? He, once again, now he's like, okay, you know what I'm going to do? I am going to post on Truth Social other people's statements about the daughter. So he got, right after this expanded gag order, hours later, he posted a clip to Truth Social where Fox News commentator Brian Kilmeade essentially slammed the daughter.
And lastly, just on the massive gag order put on the former president of the United States in the Alvin Bragg case, because they don't want him talking about prosecutor Matthew Colangelo, and they don't want him talking about the judge's daughter. But Matthew Colangelo was in the Justice Department with Joe Biden. That is outrageous to President Trump. Also, the fact is, the judge's daughter is a activist who works for Kamala Harris, and there was some dispute on whether she did have a picture up on a website with Donald Trump behind bars. That, to me, is something that if I'm Donald Trump, I'm a little concerned about, that the judge has a daughter who feels this way.
Yeah, I've actually been opposed to gag orders for years, particularly efforts to gag you, Brian.
And then after that, okay, he didn't stop there. After that, he posted these social media posts. I don't know what you call them, truths. I want to call them, whatever they are. And it's from Loomered.com. Okay. So it's reposting what somebody else posted. And it says, exclusive, more of Judge Merchan's anti-Trump bias exposed as the New York attorney Letitia James employed Merchan's wife. And the Democrat. So he talks about Judge Merchan's anti-Trump bias continues to be exposed. Loomer broke that Judge Merchan's wife, Laura, was a paid employee of the AG Letitia James office. AG James ran on he was going to say getting Trump. Then he says, that the judge who gagged him should recuse himself. And then he posts another one where, and again, it's reposting what Loomer put up there. It said, more of Judge Merchan's anti-Trump bias continues to be exposed. On Tuesday, Loomer broke that Judge Merchan's daughter, Lauren Merchan, worked for Revolution Messaging, which managed Bernie Sanders. Okay. So he's posting about now Judge Merchan's wife and about his daughter. But the way he's doing it is he's reposting what either Fox News people have done or what or said, I should say, or what Ms. Loomer is saying here. So he is clearly violating the order where it says making public statements about family members. Okay. When you repost somebody else's words as your own, it's as if he was saying it himself, right? These are words that he posts, types on his keyboard, and he is reposting other people's words and other people's videos. He is making those statements. He is adopting them as his own. He is absolutely clearly violating the gag order. So what happens next? What happens next is the Manhattan DA's office normally would normally make a motion and say that he should be held in contempt or at least spoken to. But it hasn't happened yet. Why hasn't it happened yet? And I don't know. I don't have any inside information, but I think because what Donald Trump is doing is he's basically giving the middle finger to the system and to the courts and he's daring Judge Merchan to do something because he is trying to get a delay. He does not want to go to trial. He does not want to have this trial. And so he is trying to bait Judge Merchan into doing something, saying something that Trump can then either appeal or get him recused, whatever it is, because he's already tried to get him recused again, even though he made this motion a year ago and it was denied. Again, typical Trump playbook, he First he goes after a family member or a woman in someone's life, whether it's, Jack Smith's wife, or whether it's Judge Engoron's law secretary, or it's Judge Merchan's wife and daughter. It doesn't matter. This is Donald Trump's playbook. But his other playbook is to seek recusal of judges that he does not like, right? He tried to get Judge Engoron recused. He tried to get Judge Kaplan recused, and he's tried to get Judge Merchan recused several times. Even tried to get Fani Willis, the DA, disqualified and recused from the case. That's what he does when he doesn't like what's happening to him. He makes up all sorts of things about them, about their personal life that have nothing to do with anything, and he tries to get them disqualified or recused off of a case because he never wants to face justice. So it's a typical, predictable playbook that, first of all, it's not a normal thing, by the way. I practiced for 30 years. I maybe had defendants make a handful of recusal motions for judges or prosecutors. It just doesn't happen. It's not a thing. But Trump does it in every case. He makes it seem like it's a normal thing. And Judge Merchan knows that, first of all, he knows what he's doing, and he knows that he's trying to delay, but Judge Merchan is trying to keep this case moving forward. He's trying to not give Trump what he wants because delay would not be just here. And he also knows, though, he has to balance that with protecting the jurors, protecting the trial, and protecting his family, right? He wrote in his order, there's an unacceptable risk, right? There's an unacceptable risk here that we don't want to put up with because there's no reason to go after someone's family member. It has nothing to do with the case. There's no legitimate reason to keep saying these things. He has a First Amendment right to make comments, but not to attack people. So what are they going to do? And what are the judge's options if he decides to do something about these, what I would say are clear violations? Now, the judge has several options. First of all, he can call, and what I think he'll do first is he'll call Donald Trump in and say, I really mean it, stop it. And so he'll give another verbal warning. The other thing he's said he was going to do was, okay, you keep doing this, you're going to lose your right. Your right to have information or the names of jurors. I don't trust you. I don't trust you to follow orders. So you're not going to get to know the names of jurors because you'll put them in danger. So you can't do that. That's another option. The other option he has is he can hold him in contempt. And there's different types of contempt. Okay, there's punitive contempt and coercive contempt. So punitive contempt is to punish. Coercive contempt is to try and get someone to do something you want them to do. So would he hold him in civil contempt, which is by its nature coercive, meaning it's trying to force someone to do something. And usually it's someone won't give over information or refuses to comply with a subpoena and give over documents. And you can put someone in jail until they will comply, or you can fine them every single day because every day is a new violation. And that's civil, right? Because you're trying to coerce them. So every single day that he does this, that he doesn't do what he's supposed to do, it's another fine, another fine, another fine. Or what you do for every other defendant that I've ever had and seen, you put them in. You say, you do it again next time, as they say, bring your toothbrush because you're going in. And I think what Judge Merchan is going to do is that. I think he's going to order Donald Trump to come in, and he's going to put him in. And by putting him in, it doesn't mean he's going to send him to Rikers Island. It means he's going to make him sit, handcuffed on a bench in the courtroom or in the jail cell in the back of the courtroom. And he's not going to let him out until he promises to not do it again. And so what will happen is his lawyers will come out and they'll make motions and they'll beg and plead and they'll make all sorts of promises. And he will make Donald Trump on the record swear under oath, promise, whatever, to not do it again, because if he does, then he'll be in criminal contempt where he can be punished for violating, and he can be put in jail, and he can also be fined. But, look, there's also a contempt, a summary contempt, whereas if Trump does it in front of the judge can just find him in contempt right then and there. So there's different options. It's not exactly clear which one the judge will choose, but there are several There are several options, but again, there's also a penal law contempt, which is even another, which is this criminal contempt. But that would be a complaint charged by the district attorney, and they'd have to prove it beyond a reasonable doubt, which is a higher standard. That's why I think he's going to do the civil contempt, and he's going to try to coerce him to stop, because that's really what he wants. What anyone wants is just stop with this, stop threatening people, stop talking about people's family members, and let's just get to the trial and to the evidence. So that's what I think is going to happen. I think though the judge is weighing what to do, because it's clear he's being baited by Trump, because Trump wants an excuse to seek recusal. But Judge Merchan is a judge I've appeared in front of. He's not going to fall for this. He's a very, very, very smart judge. He is a judge's judge. He's not, there's some judges who you'd say, oh, that's pro-prosecution or pro-defense. I have no idea what Judge Merchan is, because he's never tipped his hand. He's just fair. He's just one of those judges that when you go to him, that he's going to follow the law. He's going to call balls and strikes. He's just a fair judge's judge. He's not chummy or friendly with the parties, the way some judges are. He really maintains the integrity of the process of the court system. And he's going to protect the jury and the evidence because he has to, and that's his job. And he will not be baited by Trump. So stay tuned. Trump has violated this gag order clearly. And so something is going to happen. Let's see what it is. I'm Karen Friedman-Agnifilo. Join me and my co-hosts, Ben Meiselas and Michael Popak, every Wednesday and every Saturday on Legal AF.
Heary, heary. Legal AF Law Breakdown is now in session. Go beyond the headlines and get a deep dive into the important legal concepts you need to know, and we discuss every day on Legal AF. Exclusive content you won't find anywhere else, all for the price of a couple of cups of coffee. Join us at patreon.com/legalaf. That's patreon.com/legalaf.